Humanity Unboxed with me, Michaell, Cheyne, and Michaell Magrutsche. Lovely to see you, Michaell. It's been almost a month, three
Yeah.
and a bit weeks.
Yeah,
You do
I
have
almost went on an extreme fast over thing. It's like what Mark does.
yeah,
He almost died last the fast.
uh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I felt but at least we didn't choose it. You had to go to South Africa. Oh,
Yes.
so let's
Yes.
talk about it.
Yes. I just got back from South Africa on Saturday, and it was amazing. It is, it's home, so it's a different perspective to just be in a place where you know people and people know you, and the sun shines, and you're in touch with the earth, and it was just amazing.
When I went after 19 years to back to Austria.
Yeah.
I couldn't I could connect and with some people and stuff, but I had a hard time to in Vienna, and I had a big party and people came from all over the world, and it was nice. I appreciated the beauty of the nature there and the beauty of the art and all the stuff, but I wasn't thinking, oh, I miss it if I ever never see it.
Well, that's interesting, because for me it's like, okay, now I have to go home. Like I struggle to now adjust to the place,
Everybody's different, right?
and everybody's
Everybody's a one-on-one. Yeah.
yeah, but I also have my parents there, and I have
Yeah.
friends still from when I left, so we could literally just pick up where we left
You
off.
could, because that's also not normal. That's very unique for you, because Facebook, when it opened, everybody went on Facebook and they say, "Oh, how great that we meet all the old friends," and we
Yeah,
basically have nothing to say, and we just say hi and that's it.
yeah,
Basically, talked a little bit, how you doing, blah blah blah, and then was it over. Because you grow in different directions.
that's it. But sometimes I think you grow separately in a similar direction,
Yeah.
which is
No,
pretty.
I'm not saying wrong or right. I say
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's the one-on-one. It's wonderful to see that perspective.
Yeah, no, and it is wonderful, and it's wonderful to catch up. Well, it was for me to catch up with people who might be doing similar things that they were, but they are also, the connection is still there, and that's what that human-centric connection piece for me. Just this in my head, um, people as a currency was so heavy or so important to me, where I don't know how to explain it really. Even just getting to South Africa in Cape Town, which isn't home. It was on the journey to Swellendam, where I come from. But everybody looks at you and sees you, and you see them, and you speak to each other. That whether it's the waitress or the cashier at the shop or the whoever it is, wherever it
Hmm.
is, there's a definite there's a vibrancy to to I don't know, South Africa, maybe it's Africa, I'm not sure. Um, and there is a connection, a real connection, where it's really for me quite obvious that there isn't that connection. There's an effort to be made if you want to connect to people, where there it's just natural. It's just the way that people share space.
Let me understand. You said in the West more. It's easier to make a connection, or it's easier to make a connection in South Africa.
Easier for me in South Africa.
Or for you, but it would be
Yeah,
for everybody, because why should it be only for you to have an easier connection? And
yeah.
your accent
There's
got
a
stronger
warmth.
again. Your
Yeah,
accent got
there's a
stronger
warmth
too.
and an openness and a it's like people bring you into their space naturally, which I
Hmm.
feel isn't necessarily. I don't know if it's the West. I mean, Cape
It's
Town itself.
conditioning. No,
Yeah,
it's a conditioning of, and it also changed. I bet in South Africa it changes also since we left. It changed. It's
it
not
did.
anymore so deep. Perhaps it's just there is deep stuff. Our age, But the youngest are the youngest so deep. Still, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm, you know,
it's changed. I mean, it definitely has changed. There's a lot of different aspects that weren't there before. But also, when people have gone or are going through uncertainty and kind of volatility, where things can go bad at any moment almost,
mm,
there is a need for real human connection where um, I know who's around me. I know who, I see what's going on. I'm not separate from my surroundings. I'm
yeah. Well,
part of it. Yeah.
no, no. I understand because we always see this even in 9/11 and other when catastrophes happen,
Mm.
people become a force to be human centric. That's like there's no other. It's like when you go in fight flight, you go, you kill another person, and when you
Mm.
go into uh, a particular, I would say, group stress, not you in fight flight, but group stress, people actually hold together really, because
Yeah.
the separate is the unnatural,
Yeah.
and the separate to be separate is unnatural, even though systems live on segregating us.
Yeah.
But when you actually in an area where a constant fright is, or like in South Africa with the money and stuff,
Mm.
when they stink, people stick together.
Yeah, and yet I feel that in most countries, most governments,
Yeah.
most political systems thrive on creating that division,
Mm-hmm.
thrive on creating the us and them. So how am I making myself different than the other guy? Because if I see as if I see us as a unit, then we strong together, and
Yeah.
I see that happening a lot in the politics everywhere. This
Yeah.
puppet show that we all get swept up into, which is fear based, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
yeah,
And you can never reverse engineer what we are. You can say, oh, empathy. You can't reverse engineer. We are empathic, and we are one-on-one, and we are collective, collaborative, creative species. Yeah. So we that's what nature made us. It made us one-on-one, but we are all in the same boat. It's like I don't have to kiss you or whatever. I can go in the front, you go in the back. That doesn't. But we all one, and the more we dance with each other, actually collaborate, the
yeah,
more we learn about the big one, right? Whatever that is, universe, nature, God. So it should be nature first, universe, God.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you don't, and I see that very often, people go directly. I talk to a lot of religious people, not a lot, but like 3 or 4, and they go directly to God, and that's very hard to comprehend in a linear physical world.
mm,
First of all, see where you're part of nature, right?
yeah,
And then universe, and then look at the stars or whatever, and then you get senses of God that are not physical, that doesn't look like the God that you see in a picture.
yeah,
I mean, you and I, we talked about that. So
yeah. No, definitely. And I must tell you that the sky is much closer in the southern hemisphere. I promise
yeah.
you, the stars are right there, and it's really gorgeous. It was just lovely to. I mean, South Africa has a lot of problems. There's
Yeah.
no denying any of that. It's a corrupt government. It is. We got our share of load shedding. Load shedding is something that it's where the power goes off. Some days it was for 8 hours, so they share the load of on the grid, on the
Yeah.
electricity. So you know, and it's because of mismanagement, because of corruption, because of people stealing money. There's fear because obviously we all know that the US has now withdrawn all aid to South
Yeah.
Africa,
Yeah.
which now you know creates a void within that system. Um, so the budget was being released while we were there. There, it's all the same in a way everywhere, because it's all based on
It's
fear
all the same.
and lack.
It's never enough. It's never enough, no
Yeah.
matter what. And
And
then
unless
they
you
all.
switch all of that off and you realize that in the load sheddings, I mean, fair enough, we were on holiday, so
But just at
it
that
didn't
time,
affect
it was
us.
very interesting. I was like, I never saw anything about South Africa, right?
Yeah,
You're gone. I see everywhere stuff about what happened with South Africa. So
yeah,
it was very, I think it was very intense time. This the last 2 or 4 weeks were very intense for me too.
yeah, yeah. And worldwide it's intense. And yet I feel that, the world can often learn a lot from South Africa or other African
Yeah.
countries, specifically South Africa, because we've gone through and still going through a lot of reconciliation. Sadly, we had probably one of the best leaders ever. He didn't have a successor. There was nothing in place to carry on with Nelson Mandela's work or Desmond Tutu's work or any of those people that really did bring positive change. But still, that collective is present, I feel, in a lot of people there, where you can go to a takeout and have a long conversation with the lady behind the counter, just laughing with each other, about the kids
Monkeying around, monkeying
monkeying
around.
around. Exactly,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of natural monkeying around happening.
Exactly.
Um,
Because we need that. And the monkeying around has a direct connection with creativity.
yeah,
Serious cuts every creativity. And system, what they do, they make you serious. Oh, this has to be done at that time, and this has to be done exactly like this. And
mm,
that's why neurodivergents are so open and opening the whole perspective of creativity,
mm,
because we can't do it. We can't just do serious talk and sit together and say, okay, I'm here at 8 o'clock and I'm all clean and everything. No, we
yeah,
might be dirty, I think, but we will have the access through that monkeying around.
yeah.
That's why I always speak it, because it reminds us, let's have, let's loosen up,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's it, and you can't not do that when I mean, driving around in my hometown, which is a really small town. The municipal building is still burned down. Like there was riots
Yeah.
2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. They haven't fixed that building. I've had conversations with my friend who work or is part of a school. Her family runs a small school for children with learning difficulties. She was telling me about how they've had to, protect schools in those times. But then the Zimbabwean guy that helps my parents out is such a warm person, and you kind of you just drawn into his world and want to know more about him, or the lady behind the counter at the takeaway, or going to see the lady at the cashier at the grocery store who has been the cashier there since
Mhm.
I was a child. And who knows my pet. It's just it's close knit and
Human centric. It's a
human.
more human centric. Exactly. I, you say something very good. You say that building was still burned down,
Mm,
because it triggered in me that it's but day one, when humans don't stick together, yeah, take over the building, but don't destroy it. We can't destroy it. We can't destroy it. We can't play the game that is seeded from top. That 0.1% seed everything. I mean, look at AI. AI is not in. Uh, they decide what AI should be, but
mm,
and because we don't even ask what we want from AI, except you and me. We asking in every episode, what is AI gonna do about this? And I wrote the thing. I said, we have to ask what we want help from AI, not like 8 people that are extremely I think they are not normal. They're not balanced. These people, because balance is the key. And when you are in financial principles, where there is no balance, you can never balance this thing. So whatever happened now is good to express and unveil all this stuff that it actually confirms our theory that
yeah,
people on top are disturbed because of the financial principles, and they see the edge of the it's never enough no matter what, and cut costs. Right? There's no opposite. So
Mm.
that all goes in one direction, minus scarcity,
Yeah.
and that is, and when you take a human away its life, which I
Mm.
experience, with that mind stuff right now,
Yeah.
you get in fight flight,
Mm.
and your rational thinking goes out the door, and these
Yeah.
people, uh, rational thinking goes out the door. I
Yeah.
mean, you see that the opposite. Elon says, "I want to survive. I want to more people. We die out, humans, whatever." And Bill says no.
Yeah.
Bill says no, no. It's like there's too many people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The opposite of these, and they say it with all their heart and say, okay, it must be. Of course, it must be because it wouldn't be if it wasn't. But it's not human centric. It's human centric against system relevant.
Yeah. But it's all system because it's all on paper. They don't
Yeah,
know. They don't know these people. There's no. Um, there's a
it's
beautiful
knowledge.
saying.
It's knowledge. It's not
It's yeah.
awareness.
Exactly.
Awareness comes from experience. See,
Yeah.
they haven't experienced it. I haven't experienced
Mm.
homelessness. I have not experienced it. Now I do. My completely, they're not bad people.
No.
They're people that were pushed in a corner, like a cat. The
Yeah.
sweetest cat bites you when you're pushed in a corner.
Yeah.
And that's why one homeless costs $100,000
Mm.
to a million. The top people, the rowdy, the freaked out thing, and whatever, because the system charges us $1 million a year. And I asked the panel, I was in the panel, and I said, a year? Yeah. So they're charging the thing instead of just, and everybody lives, all the systems live of it, all the NGOs live of it.
Mm.
It's not like that money is given and the poor people throw it out,
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
So they never get anything.
Yeah.
They get the minimum. They get iPhones because they have too many iPhones. They give them iPhones. They give them a hairdryer, a bald person hairdryer, but they're not helping the people to get a home. A roof
Yeah.
overhead, which is number
Yeah.
3, right? Air, water, sleep,
Yeah.
and then food, and
Yeah.
then community. There's
Mm.
no part in this whole thing. There's no part in the first 5 things that our species can be balanced and exist. Is not a single system relevant thing.
But yet we build all our values on
On
system
system.
relevance
I know,
because
and
it's our
I
bank
believe you
account.
more and more.
Yeah.
I believe you more and more because you're extreme. Again, I'm not. I'm saying that we need systems.
Yeah.
You're much more extreme, and I think updated. You can't do it without systems anymore, sadly. But we have to update them and make them human centric.
Well, I wonder if we don't need to recreate them. I mean, I also rely on
Yeah,
systems. It
yeah,
makes it easier, but
yeah.
I create those systems and I can change those systems and I can scrap those systems and I can put in different systems. So,
For example, with your family, right?
for example, with my family, usually bedtime maybe is 8 o'clock, but Friday, whatever it is,
Yeah.
there is a choice. There's a element of
You
awareness.
have a choice, and you have a choice.
Yeah, yeah, and they have a choice. There's a
Yeah,
communication. There's a
yeah.
there's a
There's a
transparency.
dance going on. There's a dance going on
Exactly.
in the family uh, system.
Yeah, yeah. Which then maybe is not a system. It comes back to how do we define that system. Um, it is
Yeah,
a kind of a recipe that works. But sometimes you have more of one thing, so you make a apricot pie instead of a apple pie.
yeah,
You're still going to make it similarly,
yeah,
but you use what is
yeah,
around you. Your environment influences.
yeah.
Yes,
It's more
yeah.
synergistic.
Which I think, it's interesting perspective. Obviously, I think it comes with every high. It's a kind of a low. It was such an amazing time, sunshine, playing with an octopus, Michael. Just putting my hands um, the what do you call it? The pool, kind of, on the rock pool, and this octopus
Yeah,
coming out and it, you know, engaging with me, and we fed him some limpets and things, um, until he satisfied his curiosity and he kind of moved off, and it observed us again. But then the next day, we're swimming and there's people hunting for octopus and wanting to kill them to go fishing, and I just couldn't help myself. I took this guy on and I was like, but
Yeah.
you don't need to kill this beautiful animal. You can, if you really have to, his tentacles grow back, so why
Yeah.
destroy just because you're ignorant? Like, be aware of
Yeah.
the magic of those creatures, of all creatures. Doesn't matter what it is. We catch fish, we
Yeah.
eat fish, we thank the fish for
Yeah.
being there. My daughter caught the most beautiful fish, and she decided she wanted to put it back. Even though I really was very hungry and needed to eat fish, but it was her choice. Um, so
I told her she's
yeah, there's
alive.
always
She's
a
alive.
balance there. Well,
It's,
balance
yeah.
is also system relevant, isn't it? So there's always a dance.
Yeah. A dance. It's a dance. It's a balancing dance. Let's say that. That's probably better. It's
Yeah,
life is a
and
balancing
yet
dance.
in this world, it's almost like there is no dance. It's all about how can we be pulled down? How can we be made to feel relaxed?
Because it's the
Yeah.
madness. It's never enough. And I think I'm going even for I'm always searching where this is coming from, and I think that's even it's never enough, no matter what, is basically a good thing to show us we are not
Mm.
worthy. It's like because how can one, if we are a community, how can from 8 billion people 8 people run the whole thing from 8 billion people? How can
Yeah.
it be so imbalanced? Because the people are just we are very benevolent species. We're not a radical. We are a radical species when you push us in the corner, but that's then not us, because that's when you push people in the fight flight. That's pushing them in the cutest cat or dog in the
Yeah.
corner. They bite you. That's survival. That's if the scarcity goes so far that it goes to survival, then people riot and whatever.
It's also
And
imbalance, though. I,
I
I
don't.
agree with you that it is that fight or flight, but I do think there's a big element of this masculine and feminine that we are not seeing the magic of the two parts within each of us, um, in that balance. So we are pushing ourselves into this masculine world of competitiveness and productivity and blah blah blah, and moving and not valuing the divine feminine aspects of nurturing and connection, and these things need to be balanced in a yin and yang kind of way. A We have elements of both, but we can't separate ourselves. It's this illusion of separation that we are needing to prove ourselves constantly in a masculine way, in a I am better than you, instead of I am part of you and you are part of me.
No, it works. You were
Yeah.
you were you were you were so you have to do the
Okay.
divine feminine again, and make yourself
Uh,
a note which minute it was. 24 minutes. So
yes.
you
Yeah.
know you have to
Well,
go in there.
it's just it's an imbalance. I think is my main thing, and I feel the Western world is really pushed into this toxic masculinity, especially America. Sorry to say,
Yeah,
but everything there is driven to be bigger and better and faster and more
always was
productive.
always it's number four. It's achievement. It's
Yeah,
achievers.
yeah. But
War
what is
and
achievement? Achievement is um, I was a teacher for a while when I was in South Africa, and when I walked into the cell phone shop to get a SIM card, the man behind the counter was one of my students, and it was just so amazing. It was just like, oh, how are you? And it's this immediate connection. Or walking in a shop, and you can't. I couldn't always place the
Yeah.
person, but there was that connection, and then we can pick it up again and say, oh, where are you in life now? And kind of pick it up. And yeah,
It's when you run into somebody you haven't seen long, always, you just easy, because we have six senses, more senses, but probably six senses, and our hypothalamus is connecting, and and it's just inter, interacting,
yeah. But if we're
dancing
always busy
right
and
away,
trying to
right away.
achieve and be more productive and
Yeah,
compete with each other, we don't
yeah,
have that time to go, oh, how are
yeah,
you? What's happening in your
yeah.
life? Um,
Yep. And many don't even, as we talked, many don't even believe that's important. They how are you, but they're not interested. I would never ask. That's why I always say I'm alive,
yeah,
because I don't want to go into oh, I'm so great and whatever, or you so great. The balance is I'm alive,
yeah,
and now we can go wherever we want to go. And I see right away if somebody didn't, they're okay with it. They're laughing and they're okay. I don't have to actually listen to this person, whatever they
yeah,
have to say.
yeah.
You know?
Or you could say, well, I'm having a crappy day, and that's it.
But people don't want to
Yeah,
hear that. Not even that. They're so overwhelmed themselves, they don't even want to
yeah,
hear that. That's why I say the thing is, I'm
yeah.
alive. Beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
How is the I saw a couple clips on the racism in South Africa.
Um,
What is your opinion?
I,
I mean,
so South Africa has 9 provinces, 12 official languages. I was only in the Western Cape. That's where I grew up, in Swellendam,
yeah,
and in Cape Town we were a little bit, and then we went to a small village on the ocean with only a hand of maybe 2 handfuls of permanent residents.
mm-hmm.
So very isolated. Um, in a way, I I I hate racism. I didn't. It doesn't. I loved seeing all the people of all the colors. So yes, there's racism. I still think the United States and England are the most racist countries I've ever been in. Um, and I come from South Africa, so for me, there's much more um, acceptance of all the different shades and
Yeah,
shapes and all that. Um,
in
yeah,
South Africa, in South Africa,
South Africa.
they're
Yeah,
so it's not as what the people say. It's worse than apartheid. That's
no,
what they say on the clips.
not where I have been, and that's very different dynamics as you go up north,
Yeah,
um, especially Johannesburg is. I wouldn't say more racist, but it's much more dilapidated. Our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, they're hosting the G20 in April now, I think. So he's putting up a big show to make it look like everything's
yeah,
amazing, which it's not. People are suffering of all
yeah,
colors and languages and eye color, whatever box you want to put them in.
yeah,
People are suffering
yeah,
a lot. In the Western Cape, there's more of a synergy, maybe. In the small town where I grew up, you know the people,
yeah.
um, you know their families, um, all colors. I mean, it's not a
It's
one.
always the appearance, and system relevance is always appearance. We talked about this with voting, right?
Mm,
Before voting, everybody's together, and then, oh my God, are you Republican? Are you Democrat? Are you this? Are you that?
mm.
In the moment, and then it goes a year later, nobody cares. But then when it comes again, it's again, what are you? Who you're voting, and especially if an important election is where, with Trump, that was an important election. People
Yeah,
segregate. People
yeah.
segregate for the systemic event, and we cannot allow that anymore. It's just okay. You vote whatever, I vote whatever. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's segregated. It's
But there is
segregated.
education necessary, though. There is awareness necessary. So a lot of the population of South Africa, specifically, don't have good education. They fall for the
You
political.
think
I
in
cannot.
England and America? Are you kidding me? You say in England and America they have good education? No, they don't.
Well, yeah. Um, the thing is that people don't. Yeah. Anyway, actually.
Right. It's
Anyway.
it's like, oh, they are really not a single predicted that this outcome, the last outcome. Not a single press anywhere in the world predicted it. But we wanted it, otherwise we wouldn't have it. We all wanted it. No?
Yeah, and then it comes back to what is actually happening, because there's a big scare, fear. There's going to be a drain happening in America, which we had, still have.
Oh, we have it all the time, brownouts in
Yeah,
California. All
yeah,
the time.
yeah, yeah. So, and this comes down to, where do you want to be? You know, not where you it seems to be, the first world or the third world or the
Yeah.
what looks better.
Yeah.
It is, where is home for you? Like, where
Exactly.
is your
I agree.
soil, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what are you gonna do now? Go back right now?
I wish
Yeah.
I would go back tomorrow if I can. But in the long run, that would be the plan. Sooner, better.
What
Uh,
is with your kids? The kids, how did they react? That is what really interesting.
They really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Like, it's the first time that they've really been able to experience all the things. So, you know, swimming in the ocean every day, being on the rock pool, spending time with their grandparents, in their environment. You know, instead of
Yeah,
them,
they're coming.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is different. Yeah, so they really enjoyed it.
You
But
you
they do have more ties, yeah, which is it's a difficult dynamic. For us, that's home, and we want to go home. For them, this is more home,
yeah.
and they're not sure what to expect if we did have to go back,
Yeah.
or if we did go back.
Remember, you said you predicted that it will be good for them
Mm.
to for them each other together. You know,
Oh, and it was,
was that?
and
And
it
it was
was,
okay. You said that you predicted that.
yeah, because they
That's good.
were swimming in the sea and playing games and catching little clip fissies, little
Yeah.
I don't know what it is in English, clip fissy, little fish in the
Monkey
rock
fish,
pool.
little monkey fish.
Yeah, um, and it was great bonding for them with each other, with us. We got to spend um, much more one-to-one time with them. We need family. We need to be in our tribes.
Yeah.
Tribe, as where we come from.
Yeah.
We both have roots in that town where we have many generations that have lived there. So it feels like a grounded space for us, which I
Does your
think
husband
helps a
miss
lot.
it more than you? Does he miss it more or the same as you?
I think the same. Um, yeah, he grew up in Johannesburg, and I grew up in Amsterdam. Um, so he spent a lot of time there, but he isn't as connected maybe to that specific town. But
Yeah.
to home, our parents are getting older. We want to spend time with them. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
so it's a tricky one. And this is the thing about, I think when we choose to experience things, there comes not a responsibility, but almost an accountability as to, okay, hang on a moment. There are other things that I want in my life that I don't have right now. So how do I incorporate it all, instead of just
Or the one that you
being
like,
happy with,
because you don't like all in one world and all in the other.
yeah,
The one is you, that you want, and then a bigger systemic for your family,
yeah,
you know, and it's a dance. How are we gonna play that? And
exactly.
it might be that you go there more often, and
Exactly. Or spend time between the two
yeah,
more,
yeah,
more often. Or, I mean, there's different ways that this can unfold.
uh-huh.
But it's good to know that, you know, yeah, there
So
is,
the human centricity is, if South Africa or anybody, America or anybody wants to survive, we have to stop fighting against systems, but updated and actually say, we have the power.
And speak to people and embrace people that are different to us, because that's the only way that we can grow and be and experience ourselves.
That's exactly what you say. It's the system, it's the reversed engineered system. Oh, we have to be together, whatever. No, we are together. We don't have to discover that. We are that. You don't have to learn. You and I can go all over the world, not speak the language, and interact with people. How is that? How can we do 8 billion people and interact with them without the language?
But I must say, and I'll end off with this. It was because my children don't speak my language, which is difficult, and has, I need them to learn my language, because being at home with my parents in the town, it was so good for me to be able to communicate with everyone in our language, which they then feel left or are left out. They can understand, but they're not part of the conversation necessarily.
It's hard to learn. Hard to learn, though, right?
No, it's easy. It's actually not that hard to learn, but it's a Germanic based, so everything is as
German is always hard.
Yeah, this is Afrikaans though, so it's not German, it's Germanic. So everything is as it sounds. It's not this funny English nonsense with silent letters and nonsense things. Yeah. Good. Michael?
That was our South Africa, right? That was South Africa.
A little bit about South Africa.
We can make more. If people are interested in that. It's funny. I have lunch with older lady always. She says, I said, are you from England? Because you're not England. I said, no, South Africa.
Yes.
Yeah. That all happened while you're gone. You were gone. Yeah. So perfect. That's an interesting. Also, South Africa and today. It was both things. Thank you.
We will speak again soon. Next week, I think. I will. Thank you